Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online series 9 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode, we used this really fun team featuring Regirock and Slowpoke, so we'll be playing a couple more matches with it today. I am still in Ultra Ball tier, so hoping that we can finally make it to Master Ball tier today. It's definitely been a little bit of a slower start, even without Regigigas, so yeah, we'd like to finally get there, but yeah, looking forward to just playing more games with this team. Details are in the description below. Pretty standard Trick Room Sun team for the first match. You know, we haven't tried like Regieleki plus Drago. My opponent doesn't have any fairy types here, so it's actually a little bit compelling to me. The alternative is obviously just go with the Regirock route. Maybe we could go with both. Yeah, Regieleki plus Drago honestly seems kind of fun. And then like I'm thinking Regirock plus Slowpoke in the back. Because Regirock's really good in this matchup, but I think Regieleki plus Drago could apply a lot of early pressure, which would be pretty sweet for us. The other question is whether or not I actually really want Slowpoke. I feel like Zapdos is actually really solid here. It's actually not a bad max option, but it obviously really struggles into Glastrier specifically, which I feel like will be my opponent's main max option. I guess I could probably drop Regirock and actually just bring the Zapdos as well. It is weird not bringing any supportive options, but I think it makes a little bit of sense in this matchup, so yeah. Question of the day, by the way, with us using Slowpoke, I was thinking about how, you know, there are obviously so many not fully evolved Pokemon, you only see very few being used in competitive, even with the Eviolite, and I'm thinking of like the base form, so not something like Porygon 2 or Dusclops, but, you know, the very first form. So I'm curious if you could give a non-fully evolved Pokemon a move to just make it better, what would that move be and why? So let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, thanks so much as always for watching. If you enjoy, please share, support by leaving a like. And this is definitely a strong lead by my opponent. They didn't lead very passively. They're going to go with Porygon plus the Glastrier. If I'm them, what am I doing? You could obviously Hailstorm or Quake. I have Regirock as a switch-in. Kind of want to just get as much burst damage onto Glastrier as possible, to be honest. I could also just T-Bolt the Porygon and Dragon Energy. I wonder if that's enough for a KO. I feel like we're going to be just short on the knockout. The alternative is to double up onto Glastrier to put it in max Rockfall KO range. But, I mean, if we actually manage to knock out Porygon 2 on turn 1, that's really, really good for us. So, I'm down to try this out. If I wanted to harden Eye Trick Room, I could have maxed my Regieleki, go max Lightning plus Dragon Energy. I would assume that's enough to KO, but I don't want to trade. Like, if I get hit by Max Quake from Glastrier onto Regieleki, it's obviously super bad for us. So, yeah, I don't want to trade my Dynamax just for a knockout onto Porygon. Okay, they're not going to protect. They're not going to make any switches. It's really good damage from Thunderbolt. It's close. I don't know if Dragon Energy will be enough. Let's see. Ooh, it actually gets the KO. Because of a crit. Okay. I'm not sure if that mattered. I want to say it did, but I'm not 100% sure. They do opt for the Hailstorm onto Drago. Okay, so now I get the free switching into Regirock, which is nice. Now, Glastrier is obviously going to get a boost here, but that's okay. Yeah, I mean, definitely a fortunate crit. I do want to do the calc afterwards. Like, the question is Dragon Energy stronger than Thunderbolt? Because if the answer is yes, then, you know, we should pick up that knockout. I'm thinking it's a roll that's more in our favor, but can't say that with 100% confidence. Regieleki does have slightly more special attack. Anyway, we have to bring in Regirock right now, I think. What are their back to? Torkoal Venu would make the most sense to me. Venu actually makes this really awkward. Because they can just Sleep Powder. If I want to get around Sleep Powder, what I can actually do is max Regieleki to max Lightning. I mean, if I'm them, I'm probably just clicking Sleep Powder onto Regirock right now. And then Quake into Regieleki. Actually, you should Hailstorm Regieleki, because you should always cover for the switch out option. I also have max Airstream. Torkoal should be their last one. Okay, what if I actually just max Airstream Venusaur? And Rock Slide. I know this seems kind of weird. Sash is just... I guess the items on Venu are often Sash or Koba, so it's like, this doesn't really work. if they're either of those. Yeah, they're obviously not AV. I think Sasha is pretty likely here. Okay, they're not Koba, which is good. So if they're not Focus Sashed either, this is actually really solid, but unfortunately for us, they are stashed, yeah. So I think it's probably just going to be a Sleep Powder here, and Venusaur should still be faster, even with the speed boost, because our Regirock is so slow. I could have protected Regirock there. Protect and Bounce is actually oh, they go for Earth Power, though. Okay. That actually is not bad for us at all, then. Glastrier really doesn't take very much damage, though. I think it's AV, though, not Policy, right? Yeah. And they go for Steel Spike. Okay. Oh, and Regirock hangs on. That is not how I expected the turn to play out at all, but that's great. I will say, I feel like I haven't played this team super well, to be honest, because there have been so many games where it's like, if my opponent just like went for a different play on a specific turn, I would have been really, really doomed. And I don't love, like, being in positions where the ball's in, like, in my opponent's court, right? Like, we've been lucky in the last couple of days, it feels like, where multiple games our opponent, like, didn't make maybe what was the absolute best play that turn, like, could have really messed us up. And in Pokemon, like, basically, you want to play where no matter what your opponent does, like, you'll still have a positive outcome. And I feel like I just haven't really leveraged my advantage super well. So that's kind of on me. Okay, so it's Torkoal plus Glastrier. Pretty easy to max guard here. I think we should always max guard with the Regieleki, and I'm down to just go for a Rock Slide. They did just activate our weakness policy, but I do want to, you know, be careful about a miss here. Yeah, because I think oh, actually, well, I don't know if we one-shot Glastrier with Max Lightning into Rock Slide. And, like, I'm not really that nervous about Torkoal, because we can handle it pretty easily. So, yeah. I never want to Max Lightning into the Torkoal slot here, I think. And there's the miss. Oh, boy. Okay. I think in this position, Drain Punch was actually better into Glastrier just for guaranteed damage. So they're going to get a special defense boost. They do have they have two special defense boosts and a defense boost, which I really don't love. Yeah, I think Drain Punch definitely was the play there, because then Close Combat would guarantee finish it off, but now it's not guaranteed. Okay, so he brings Zapdos out. I would still think Max Lightning one-shots Torkoal, even with the special defense boost. +1 defense, +1 special defense. Okay. So here I think I'm down to just Max Lightning into Torkoal, and... Oh, I do have Blaze Kick, but that can miss as well. I think we just go for Close Combat on a Glastrier. Yeah, the thing is, I think I have to target the Torkoal. I like have to get a knockout on Torkoal, because that thing has spread damage. Yeah, that's still enough for a one-hit KO. Okay, nice. And my opponent did make the correct target last turn, right? If they didn't target Regirock there and they targeted Regieleki, the game's instantly over as well. But Drain Punch would have just, like, instantly won us the game. Like, I think we still win here, because I don't think Glastrier can beat both of these. And, like... either another T-Bolt or Close Combat should finish this off. Oh, Close Combat itself almost finishes it off. Okay, nice. Yeah. So Zapdos did end up picking up the KO there, but that's fine. Like, you get one knockout here, right? Now Thunderbolt just KOs the Glastrier. So, the turn with Venusaur is just really scary. My opponent, I guess, didn't want to play, like, risk missing Sleep Powder, which is definitely fair, because if you miss there, you probably just instantly lose the game. Maybe they didn't even have Sleep Powder, to be honest. Some Venusaurs, like, are dropping Sleep Powder, because it gives you the advantage in best of one where your opponents like try to play around the Sleep Powder, right? But ultimately, like, I could have like predicted Venusaur to come in, because like if you're leading P2 Glastrier, Torkoal plus V2 just makes so much sense as the back two, right? It could be Torkoal Charizard as well, I suppose. But I think as soon as we knocked out the Porygon, like there are two things I'd really point to in this game where I think I misplayed slightly. The first one was, bringing Regirock out immediately as opposed to bringing Zapdos out. Because if I brought Zapdos out, Regirock's pretty good in the end game. And then the second was not clicking Drain Punch into Glastrier. Fortunately for us, we were able to one-shot anyway, so T-Bolt here will always just finish off Glastrier. No, one-shot the one-shot the Torkoal specifically, but yeah. Yeah, the main thing I want to calc here is the Dragon Energy into Porygon 2, because Thunderbolt did do over 50%, so I'm thinking Dragon Energy is pretty close to picking up that KO, but I'm assuming Porygon was clicking Trick Room on turn 1, and if Trick Room goes up, this is obviously a very, very different game, so yeah, I do want to do that calc real quickly. So looking at the calc, given this, Dragon Energy does 48.6 to 57%, and Porygon 2, this is just, I'm assuming 244 HP, 84 special defense, by the way, because I was playing around with the Regieleki numbers, and if Porygon is, like, sassy, or, you know, plus special defense, and has a lot of special defense investment, Eleki isn't gonna, you know, get to 50% of damage, even on the high roll. So I think that implies that the Porygon is probably not a plus special defense nature, or just doesn't have that much special defense investment. So given this, Dragon Energy, actually, I think was always gonna pick up the KO from that range. So, yeah, that's good. But the thing is that I think if I were to replay that game, you know, their lead was better than ours, and in the end, we ended up punishing Porygon 2, but, like, in a best of one, you don't have knowledge of your opponent's spread, right? So if, like, my opponent was just max HP, max special defense, and their Porygon is, like, super special defensive, we're in a really bad position going into turn 2 of the game, because we're just not going to knock out Porygon. They're likely going to set up Trick Room, and then I don't even get that much damage into the Glastrier either. So, yeah. I guess then the question is, okay, how would I lead differently to cover for Porygon 2 plus Glastrier? That's where Slowpoke could actually be really interesting, because I could just use Yawn into Glastrier. If Glastrier commits Dynamax on turn 1, we put it to sleep, then it's really difficult for my opponent to play the game afterwards. And Regirock has a very good matchup into my opponent's entire team there as well. So, yeah. Like, turn 1 worked out for us, but this is another example of a game. Like, I feel like we've had a lot of wins with this team where, like, I haven't felt great, because quite frankly, I just feel like I haven't played it perfectly. And like I mentioned, my opponents have had opportunities to potentially win the game if they made like one different play, and you never want to be in a position where you can just lose the game if your opponent makes like a specific combination of plays. So yeah, but we'll take the win for sure. Cool, and after I started the episode saying we needed a hit Master Ball tier, we finally get there, but took a little bit longer than some of the other seasons. I've just been messing around with a bunch of different teams and getting some practice in. So yeah, haven't had the highest win rate so far, but let's get into the next game here. This is interesting. Hat Indeedee, Thundurus Urshifu, and then you just have Incin plus Glastrier. So they do have a fairy type, obviously, in the Hatterene. Otherwise, I'd actually very heavily consider Eleki plus Drago. By the way, like that last game, I'm glad to just lead Eleki plus Drago and just show what this can potentially do, because like in the previous episode, we just played towards, you know, Slowpoke, Regirock every game. Now, I think Slowpoke plus Regirock can be pretty solid here. The question is who I want to lead Slowpoke with. Eleki is interesting because they don't have any electric resists. Also, like, one thing I haven't really considered is Indeedee plus Eleki. Like a Helping Hand max Lightning. I think Zapdos is definitely not coming out in this game because of Glastrier. But do I really want to bring Indeedee and Slowpoke? That's two defensive Pokemon, meaning, like, I'm relying almost entirely on Regirock for offense. The thing about Drago is that, like, it can be good, but we have to have it a very particular setup for it. Man, I'm actually really tempted by Indeedee plus Eleki. Okay, I'm gonna try it. Indeedee Eleki, we're gonna experiment a little bit in today's episode. And, like, as I often mention in Road to Ranked, when I try out a new team, or just, you know, try out one of my, like, a team that I've built myself, I think it's really good just to, like, kind of force yourself to get familiar with some of the other combinations and leads, because one thing is, like, especially if I'm practicing for a tournament, for example, you want to be able to, like, have some familiarity with how you can play with a specific lead matchup, even if it's a little bit more niche, right? They're going to go with Hatterene Indeedee. This turn one is interesting because I wonder if you go for Follow Me. If you don't Follow Me, what we can do is actually just go for, like, Max Eleki, Helping Hand, Max Lightning, the Hatterene. But that's pretty risky, right? Because if Hat's Focus Sashed, that's obviously bad. They're also Psychic Seed on Indeedee. Okay. I mean, it feels like Regirock should be the max option here. I don't know. It's actually really interesting, though. If I make the hard read that they're not going to go for Follow Me, I think they should just Follow Me here, but I could totally see them going for Expanding Force. I think I'm just going to Expanding Force, though, and Electro Web turn 1. I'm going to play it safe. And if they don't go for Follow Me and they go for Knee Force, kudos to them. But I'm not willing to risk the game on a Helping... Like, if I Helping Hand Max Lightning turn 1, Indeedee goes for Follow Me, Hatterene goes for Trick Room, we kind of just lose the game from there. I guess, like, I do have redirection support with Eleki, so maybe not necessarily, but yeah, perfect. They do go for Follow Me. And I just, like, really don't like gambling the game on turn 1, so I'll take it. It's really solid damage on the Hat. The main thing here is we also, like, just want to... We have Slowpoke, right? So Slowpoke can actually reverse Trick Room, which is pretty cool. Expanding Force will get some nice damage off here as well. I wonder if Hyper Voice was actually better over Expanding Force here. I'm not sure. It might have been. Okay, so they get Trick Room up. Pretty easy turn to protect Regieleki here, I think. I think Hyper Voice might be stronger, but I'm actually not 100% sure. Yeah, I think I'm going to protect and, or sorry, Hyper Voice, and I kind of want to just switch Regieleki out into Slowpoke. Because here's the other interesting thing. We can just straight up reverse Trick Room. Like, I actually almost don't want to knock out Hatterene in this position. Yeah, I'll go for another Expanding Force here then. Switch Regieleki out into Slowpoke. And then if we can just reverse Trick Room, like, we can just sweep with Regirock outside of Trick Room. My opponent should definitely have Glastrier as their third, and I'm thinking their last one's going to be Urshifu. It just makes the most sense. Okay, they're going to go for Helping Hand. That's fine. And just Dazzle. Yeah, that's okay with me. I mean, it's going to hurt, obviously, but it doesn't KO us. We get Expanding Force off in return. Key thing here is that Slowpoke's not going to faint from another... Ooh, we actually knock out Hatterene with Expanding Force. Okay, I wasn't sure about the damage roll there. I mean, it's not bad to get a knockout like that, but obviously, like, my goal was to try to get Slowpoke in safely and then just reverse Trick Room. Yeah, so there's Glastrier now. We have Regirock in the back. I have Yawn. I think the play I want to make the most here is to just straight up reverse Trick Room immediately, but if you're my opponent, you have a free attack into Indeedee. They could also Helping Hand, like, Max Quake into Slowpoke, which is pretty scary. I don't think Hyper Voice is KOing Indeedee here anyway, so I'd rather get more damage on Glastrier with Expanding Force. So. Yawn is actually really nice into Glastrier if they don't go for Follow Me. If they Follow Me, then you're not KOing Slowpoke, but you can knock out Indeedee. So I think I'd rather just reverse Trick Room here because then we get Regirock out. Now, obviously, we have to worry about Glastrier because it's going to snowball quickly with these attack boosts, right? So if I wanted to intentionally not knock out Hatterene last turn, what I could have done was actually just clicked Follow Me or Helping Hand just to buffer a turn from Indeedee. I actually didn't think Expanding Force was going to KO based off how much the first one did, but I think that was just poor damage estimation on my end. Okay, so let's see. Yep, they go for Follow Me, good. So we don't get punished for going for something like Yawn. They're going to go for Max Knuckle. Oh, does this even KO? Oh, it's still enough. Oh, that's actually really bad. I did not think that actually would be enough to KO, to be honest. Because now you're at +2, and then Indeedee can go for Helping Hand to get to +3, which is very scary. And we reverse the Trick Room. Or not +3, but I mean, effectively give it another boost. Do I'm going to go Regieleki or Regirock? If I go Regirock, like, I risk just taking so much... I like Regieleki, honestly, especially if I can actually manage to get a Yawn off into the Glastrier. Okay. I mean, the alternative was to just bring out Regirock, I guess, and max Rockfall into the Indeedee. You know what? That actually might have been smarter. Yeah, I'm just going to Thunderbolt into the Indeedee here and go for Yawn onto the Glastrier. I think Regirock was... Well, the fear of Regirock was just taking a Helping Hand plus a max move, right? I don't want to play the Helping Hand mind games here. Yeah, I wasn't sure about Max Knuckling picking up the knockout on an Indeedee, so I'm curious about that damage calc. Because if we survive there, this is actually a really favorable position for us, right? Because you just don't snowball nearly as quickly, but that knockout, like, completely changes the dynamic of the game right now. So, yeah. Oh, and they do have Protect. Okay, that's not good. That is definitely not good. They're going to go Quake. Let's see if they target Slowpoke or Regieleki here. They do target Slowpoke. It's enough for a KO, unfortunately. Okay. With the crit. I think that might have mattered, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, I think it's going to be pretty tough to win the game from there. I am really curious on that calc. Because if we survive and get Yawn off, this becomes a really interesting endgame. But I think now my opponent should just win. Although, not necessarily. If I can call who Glastrier is targeting this turn and max guard the correct Pokemon, we can actually still definitely win the match. But I have to make the correct target on who Glastrier is targeting here. If I'm my opponent, I'm targeting Regieleki. So, this might seem kind of wild, but I'm actually going to just go for a max guard here. and go for a... Like, we're already behind in this game anyway, right? So, kind of have to make some big plays if I want to win. This thing doesn't have any defense boost yet, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go Max Guard. And with Regirock, I don't even think Drain Punch KOs Indeedee. I guess it's just Rock Slide here. So, yeah, I think if Slowbro survived, well, I guess we'd get Yawn off, but then I'd still be in the same position, right? It's not like it actually... We're in a significantly better position. Like, yeah, I can bring out Regirock, but then, like, the Yawn doesn't apply immediately. So then I would still... Well, then I would probably go Max Guard Regieleki, protect Regirock. Yeah. But then they could switch out Glastrier, I suppose. Either way, we can still win this if Glastrier did target into the Lucky slot here. So let's see. Okay, they go for Follow Me. That's good. I mean, of course, like, Regirock seems like the obvious target here. Okay, pretty good damage with Rock Slide. And they end up knuckling into a Regieleki. Perfect. Okay. Is it perfect, though? Rock Slide doesn't really do that much. I didn't knock out the Indeedee. I kind of needed to knock out Indeedee to have a chance, right? Well, so now the question is, do I go for the double protect? I do, right? Because I go for Max Guard and Rock Slide. That way... Also, Knuckle makes me, like, curious. Like, do they not have Quake? Because if I actually just protected a Regieleki there, and Max Knuckle was not going to KO through Protect, so... Makes me think they don't have it. So I'm actually going to go for the double here, because even if we don't get it, like, the way to win this game is basically to deny a Regieleki from getting KO'd this turn, right? To force this to be a 2v2. Okay, so we don't get it, so we're depending on a Rock Slide flinch right now, or a miss from Glastrier, potentially, but... And it's a Rock Slide miss. Okay, on the Indeedee, that's actually still pretty bad, but if we manage to knock out Glastrier with 2 Rock... it's not even a 2-hit KO. Yeah, and they did have high horsepower. Okay, that's a little bit frustrating. They had no reason to Max Knuckle there, I think, because we actually could have protected a Regieleki, but Max Quake was always going to knock out the Regieleki through Protect, so, yeah. The odds were still slightly in my opponent's favor. Like, the odds of getting a double protect or a flinch aren't terrible, but, you know, they're not amazing either. Well, actually, I suppose it's still not over. Regirock could theoretically win this out, but, yeah, the problem was, like, Glastrier is just really bulky at the end of the day, and it got a lot of boosts very quickly. Like, I didn't expect the Knuckle to KO the Indeedee, and then they got the Quake onto the Slowpoke as well, so, yeah, I actually want to do the Indeedee calc real quick. We're 177 HP, just max HP, max special attack, okay. And we were, like, just around 50%. So, I'm going to go for Rock Slide here, but, yeah, as we finish this game up, Indeedee, Glastrier, Knuckle, assuming they're max attack. Rock Slide almost KOs Glastrier there, but not enough. Yeah, like, the frustrating thing here is because they end up going for max Knuckle, we actually could have... Oh, we do get a flinch. Okay, so this is actually still... Well, I assume Urshifu is their last one, and it's going to be Sash Urshifu. But if it's Thundurus, yeah. We stood a chance. So close combat, Max, Knuckle. Yeah, it does 51 to 61%. I just kind of underestimated the damage output from Max Knuckle that turn. But I don't think I would have done things any differently there, right? Also, like, theoretically, we could win with Drain Punch here. Oh, they're Water Urshifu, so there's no way. Yeah, this was a really close game, though, so I don't feel bad about losing. Is there any way in which we can win this? It would be them, like, misplaying and not going for 100% accurate attack. And then us, like, them not being Sash Urshifu, but I think they're definitely going to be Sash here. Oh, they do go for close combat over Surging Strikes. Okay. And, by the way, like, the reason why you always want to think about how you can win is because a lot of times in Pokemon, like, people can throw the game, right? So you just, like, think about, like, the most obscure scenarios and just, like, try to play towards them. It's not going to work most of the time, but at least it gives you, like, a slight window of opportunity to come back in the game, right? But, yeah, unfortunately, Urshifu's defense is just pretty good. So, yeah, this is why I needed to conserve a Regieleki. But if we had gotten the double protect off, I actually think we would have won the game. Or a flinch that turn. So, yeah. The odds, like I said, weren't amazing. They're, I think, just under 50% there. But they're not terrible either, right? Odds of a double protect is 1 in 3. So, odds of not getting a double protect is 2 in 3. And then odds of flinching is... You have a 30% chance of flinch, but you also have to include accuracy. So, it's really 27%. So you have a 73% chance to, yeah. that was very close to a 50-50, that turn. Yeah, if we get the flinch or the double protect, we actually win the game there. So, yeah. But I guess then the question is, how did I let the game state get to a position where I needed to rely on that, right? I didn't get my max out quickly enough. Expanding Force actually knocking out Hatterene also worked out against us, so that was tough, but yeah. Alright, getting into things here. Let's see. Pretty cool team. Comfey, Galarian, Zapdos, T-Tar, Venusaur, Torkoal, and Thundurus. Okay. So obviously I have to worry about Comfey activating weakness policy. Where's the policy on? Is it T-Tar or Zapdos? I would think Zapdos, but I can't say that with 100% confidence. Aleki's really interesting as a sweeper in this game. I mean, like, I obviously can play towards Regirock, but, like, how good is that? It's not bad, I guess. Like, Indeedee plus Slowpoke with Regirock in the back, just like the classic combo, I think is still fine here. Do you think I like Zapdos? Although, like, Aleki's really good for damage here because they don't have great electric resists, but Zapdos is pretty darn consistent across the board against their team. So, alright, let's try it out. Yeah, I'm still thinking about the last game and how I could have improved my play. I think the scary thing about, like, using a team like this is, like, for example, in the last game, I brought both Slowpoke and Indeedee, and I relied on too much support. If I just reversed Trick Room earlier, that would have been really good. And my other question is whether or not +2 Max Quick was going to knock out Slowpoke. They go with Thundurus plus Zapdos. Okay. That works for me. I mean, yeah, this is a very free follow me into Trick Room setup turn 1. It's just, like, Expanding Force is actually really nice for damage here. But I think we just need to ensure the... Yeah, the poor Slowpoke doesn't faint, so I'm down to just go for Follow Me and Trick Room. And I'm happy to not see Comfey out here, so that's also good for us. They're not going to max, which is a smart play on their end, which now makes me regret not Expanding Forcing, but I think I always should Follow Me here just to play it safe. Brave Bird from Zapdos comes out first, so that's either Supportive Thundurus or Choice Scarf Zapdos. Both of those make some sense to me. We're going to take a lot of recoil there, which is actually pretty nice for us. Okay, they're Life Orb. So it's probably slower support Thundurus, which makes a lot of sense to me. But the cool thing is now I can just bring out Regirock. Now this next turn is interesting, right? Because it's pretty easy. Okay, that also implies, that means there's no weakness policy on Zapdos, so then policy is definitely on Tyranitar. Either way, like, pretty safe to bring out Regirock now and just Surf. The thing is, Rock Slide is so tempting here, right? Because if it hits the Zapdos, we would just win the game. Question is whether like I want to gamble here, because 90% of the time, well, I guess I don't even know with confidence that it knocks out Zapdos. Yeah, I'm gonna play it safe here. I really see little reason to gamble, especially because the Thundurus is completely useless into Regirock right now. So I'm just gonna go Surf Rockfall here. And this is where Thundurus being out on the field really hurts my opponent more than helps them right now, because it just can't do anything. It just, at best, can Thunderbolt. One thing to actually be a little bit afraid of is Self-Scary Face. But I don't think there's anything in the back that really threatens Regirock enough. Okay, so Zapdos goes for Detect here, right? This is also why, like, Surf plus Rock Slide was a tempting play. But I'm still fine just activating my weakness policy, getting chip damage, and setting up the sand. All of those are good things for us. Pretty good damage with Surf onto Thundurus. I honestly wonder if, yeah, like, after Rockfall, a Surf will KO the Zapdos. So, I think if we had just hit Rock Slide this turn, we would have been in really, really excellent shape. That is really good damage on a Zapdos. I'm pretty sure after Sandstorm, Surf should pick up the KO. So the nice thing is this next turn I can just pick up a double KO as long as the Slowbro does not get crit by a Thunderbolt. Okay, so there's T-Bolt. Very good damage, but not enough for a KO. See, I could max Knuckle as well. Nah, I think we just go for a double KO in this position. Although I guess the scary thing here is that they could switch into Tyranitar potentially, and I might activate the policy. But Regirock's going to still win against Tyranitar because we have Max Knuckle, so even if they make the switch, so be it. I'm just going to Rockfall plus Surf here. It's nice that Slowpoke can actually do enough damage, I think, to pick up the KO here, and they don't switch out, which is perfect. Nice! Okay, So we get a double KO here. The main thing in this game is, like, I wasn't even sure +2 Rock Slide was going to knock out Galarian Zapdos from that range, and then if they end up, like, I guess they're never going to max Zapdos there, but I don't know. So we have the numbers advantage right now. The good thing is that Galarian Zapdos for us is really good in the end game. So this is, like, finally the best matchup we've had in all the games we've had with this team so far for Slowpoke plus Regirock, so I'm happy about that. I'm going to guess T-Char plus Comfey as the last two. Oh, it's T-Char Torkoal. That's even better for us. Okay. Awesome. I mean, at this point, you'd really have to max the Tyranitar, right? I have max Knuckle / Drain Punch. The awkward thing is they also get rid of their own sand. I don't know if I wouldn't think +2 max Knuckle KOs Tyranitar. I don't want to activate that thing's policy either. So, I think in this position, I'm down to just go for a max Quake onto the Torkoal, and then go for a Yawn onto the Tyranitar. I guess I could have flipped it too. Max Knuckle Tyranitar. I feel like the only way we lose this game now is if I end up activating a weakness policy. So I guess like Torkoal theoretically could have a policy, but that would make no sense when there's Comfey on the team. So yeah, they're gonna max the T-Char here. That's fine. Yeah, as long as we don't activate weakness policy, we should win this game. Barring anything really wild. And the nice thing is that Slowpoke's faster here, so now I get a Yawn into their Maxmon, which is sweet. They're just going to Earth Power. That does no damage with the Sandstorm. And that's also good for us because they didn't go for Protect. I think Protect was maybe their best shot. I went for Quake here, but I think Rockfall is actually always just better. There's no reason to get a special defense boost. I guess unless Tyranitar is like mixed Tyranitar has like, yeah, Dark Pulse. But yeah, this was like the perfect demonstration for how the Slowpoke Regirock combination can work. So we finally get a solid game with it, which is awesome. Like, I just feel like I haven't done the team justice. Like, yeah, we've been able to net wins, but I feel like I haven't been really proud about how I've played. And like I said, I've been in a lot of positions where, like, it feels like I'm relying on my opponent to maybe mess up a little bit rather than just outplaying them from turn one. A lot of it comes to me not leading perfectly, not bringing the right Pokemon, and just not making, like, the absolute best decisions. But that happens, right? It's very hard to play Pokemon consistently at a high level and make all the right calls all the time. Like, no one does that, right? The thing is, you just have to do it more so than all the other players. Okay, I mean, there's really no way we can lose at this point. We just Drain Punch and Close Combat. Yeah. Tyranitar's falling asleep after this turn. We just had a lot of good early pressure in this game. Drain Punch is not enough for KO, but that's fine. Gonna end up activating Weakness Policy, but that's also okay. Even if they're Lum Tyranitar here, I guess the one way they could win is if they were Lumtar. Let me go for Rockfall here. I wonder if this even KOs Zapdos. This is max HP Zapdos. It does manage to pick up the knockout, okay. Oh, but they can't be Lumtar if they're Weakness Policy, obviously. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I was thinking if there was, like, any scenario in which we, like, needed to play around a Lumberry. No, because if you're a Lumberry, then you just never have enough damage to actually beat the Regirock. So Slowpoke having Yawn here was obviously super, super good for us, and that was sick. Okay, so Tyranitar takes his first turn to sleep, and then Drain Punch finishes things off here. I think the main thing to note is that, like, Regirock just isn't really that strong without the attack boost, and even with the attack boost, like, it's not really picking up one-hit KOs unless it's against super effective Pokemon. The main thing that was really good for us is, like, I think that we just had a lot of early pressure. They led very offensively, very fast, with the Zapdos and the Thundurus, right? Like, the thing I think I was most scared of was probably Comfey plus T-Tar, just because you can just go for the Draining Kiss and then activate the policy. Babiri. Also, Comfey, you have to worry about potential ally switches. Yeah, they did have Scary Face here, so I think one cool play my opponent could have considered was switching something in and then going for Self-Scary Face, i.e. onto Tyranitar. That drops you down to, like, 40 speed. And you can Self-Scary Face, by the way, even though Tyranitar's Dark-type. The Prankster interaction is just against opposing Pokemon. Wide Lens Venu. I mean, I'm glad Venusaur didn't come out. The Sleep Powder is always just scary in itself. And then Torkoal. Yeah, I think the main thing here is that we just had a really favorable matchup with the leads. And so, I mean, this is why lead matchups are so important in Pokemon. That's why in team building, if you can come up with teams that have favorable leads regardless of what your opponent leads, like something like you can bring in 80+% of games, that's just an arbitrary number. I mean, that's like, don't set that as a metric. But a lead that you can bring in like more often than not and feel confident and safe and have good options right on turn one, like that's good, right? So for this team, for example, Slowpoke plus Indeedee is it. It just so happens that you know, against like opposing Trick Room teams, that doesn't really get us very far. And in the last, you know, like, you know, in game 2, for example, we went up against a Glastrier and a Trick Room setup. So yeah, but that was a pretty fast one. So I think we have time for one last game here. All right, final one of the day. Let's see, Centiskorch. Ooh, Centiskorch. They've got the Fire, Water, Grass core, but certainly not with the Fire type Pokemon you'd expect. There's also Umbreon, Celesteela, and Landorus. Okay, a lot of interesting stuff here. I mean, we have pretty good Pokemon into Centiskorch, to be honest, with Regirock and Zapdos. I want a Lucky for Celesteela. Celesteela is the main problem here, in my opinion. Like, we could obviously go with the Trick Room setup. I don't know how good that really is. Indeedee just, like, doesn't feel very good here, especially with them having 2 other terrain users. Although I guess we don't really need the Expanding Force, really. Or the Psychic Terrain, I should say. I'd like to snowball the game with Zapdos, if I can. Umbreon as a lead makes a lot of sense to me. What if I go, like, Regieleki plus Zapdos? Regirock in the back. I could just go 4 offense and bring Drago as well. I don't know, Drago just doesn't seem great, though. I'd rather, I think, bring one of Indeedee or Slowpoke. I think I'm still going to go with Slowpoke here. I don't know, Yawn's not really that good. It does have Heal Pulse, though. Okay, I'm going to try this out. A really cool team for my opponent's end. Centiskorch is something I've been meaning to try out in this format. I've seen a couple of interesting builds around it, and I think it's, like, actually not terrible. Well, I should give it more credit. Not even... I think it's, like, definitely viable, especially when you consider a lot of the steel types that are running around. But being weak to rock is definitely hurts, right? I think that's why you see most Centiskorches are typically Charty Berry. Is that Umbreon? Okay, it's Umbreon plus Centiskorch. Pretty interesting stuff here. I mean, we have so much offensive pressure right now. What do you do if you're my opponent? Like, this is a pretty awkward spot to be in. With Umbreon, the main thing to watch out for is Yawn, right? I almost want to just T-Bolt and Close Combat into it. Just get the knockout onto this, because, like, not that many Umbreons carry Protect. They don't really have great switch-ins either. The thing will be interesting in, like, I guess because we have a Solvest, I don't really have to worry about Centiskorch from Zapdos' perspective. But if you're my opponent, you have Protect on Umbreon, you could make the sickest read, which is just Protect Umbreon, G-Max the Centiskorch, and then, you know, just, I don't know, get a knockout onto a Regieleki turn 1. That would be the worst case scenario. But it's Centiskorch protecting. Yeah, it's just spreading so much here. I can't feel it. Like, I feel like you really can't afford to just take an attack here. Oh, we did not need a T-Bolt. Oh, sorry, we did not need a Close Combat, but that was a crit. Wow, crit and a para, but neither of that's going to matter. Oh, okay, because they had Citrus, I think Close Combat was the right call. Although without the crit, no, we still would have activated the Citrus. Yeah, I think it's always best to just T-Bolt Close Combat turn 1, because if I'm in my opponent's shoes, I'm always clicking Yawn into Zapdos on turn 1. But we just get a free knockout there. Getting rid of Umbreon is actually really, really sweet for us as well. So this is another example of, like, our opponent having a Pokemon that's kind of working against their favor right now. Like, Centiskorch being out on the field, you know, not only do you feel pressure to play defensively, okay, and they bring out Celesteela. Well, I can just Dynamax Regieleki at this point, honestly. Yeah, I kind of want to do that. Just Dynamax Regieleki. I could see Celesteela switching back out into... Let's see. Blaze Kick does 170, super effective. Close Combat does 180 with the same type attack bonus. But we can burn with this. I could also switch Zapdos out right now into Slowpoke. The play I lean towards most here is honestly just Max Lightning and Close Combat. Yeah. Even if you switch in Landorus, Close Combat's still going to hurt. Okay, and they stay in. Nice. The main reason I brought Regieleki was specifically to deal with Celesteela, so the fact that we were able to just pick up a knockout and then force my opponent to bring it out is really good for us. Now, Centiskorch could max here, but I don't think you can one-shot Regieleki ever. And, like, the Regieleki even has bounce for max Airstream right now, so, yeah. you know, I always talk about, like, flexibility of a team, and, like, one reason I think this team is really fun is because you have so many different max options. Obviously, Regirock's the main one. Zapdos is, like, the second most common one, I would say, but, like, Regieleki is really good, and then Drago can max in very specific matchups as well, right? So, oh, they actually do commit the max to Centiskorch. Okay. I like that decision on their end. Gonna be very curious if Celesteela can survive a max lightning here then. Protect would make the most sense here. But they don't protect. Yeah, I'm thinking they're Assault Vest. Wow, Max Lightning just picks up the one-hit KO. That's beautiful. Nice. I mean, I just don't think this is a good matchup for Centiskorch at all. Like, we have Galarian, Zapdos, and Regirock. Both of those alone make it pretty tough for Centiskorch. Like, we don't really have any Steel types. That's, I think, one of the main reasons you'd really want Centiskorch, typically. Just gonna get a nice close combat off there. Not a lot of damage, but that's fine. Close combat just covers for every option there and gets guaranteed damage. And we're ahead in the game right now, so no need to risk any misses or anything, right? It's gonna be Centiferno into Regieleki. Ooh, that did do a lot. 33 down to 7. Okay. That's definitely pretty scary, but I think we can wrap up the game anyway. I just didn't think we'd take as much, to be honest. I thought we could take Fire Spin plus 2 procs. Oh, the last one's Fini, though. Okay, nice. Fini, Fini, Fini. You would think you would double protect right now if you're my opponent. I can just max Lightning. Airstream would give me a speed boost. Don't really get that much value from that. I think I'm down to just Lightning, get damage onto Fini through Protect, and go for a Brave Bird onto Centiskorch. Yeah. We're in pretty good shape. Oh, they don't protect either. Okay, that works for me, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Regieleki is literally just one-shotting everything. But this is why the Regieleki plus the Galarian Zapdos combination is really fun, right? Typically, your best answers into Regieleki are going to be Ground-type Pokemon. What's the most common Ground-type Pokemon in the format? Or one of them, Landorus-T. And what has a really good matchup against Landorus-T? Galarian Zapdos. I think my opponent was probably just trying to make like a desperate play there, which makes a lot of sense because when you're behind in the game, you kind of need to just look for opportunities like that. Brave Bird itself almost just KOs the Centiskorch. I'm just going to go for Centiferno, yeah. Regieleki plus Zapdos was just, it ended up being such a good lead for us, especially because my opponent led the Centiskorch. So, once again, lead matchups are so important. Having a team that has multiple options for your lead options are also really important, because had I led something like Indeedee plus Slowpoke, the Umbreon plus the Centiskorch combination can be really deadly just in terms of disruption, right? And so we really don't want to deal with that because we don't put on any offensive pressure. Umbreon stays on the field for way too long, and so yeah, you know, a lot of issues there. But now we can just surf and okay, wait, hold on. let's not throw the game because we could theoretically miss. But I think the call is to just, because if you're them, you can just go for Bug onto Slowpoke, right? I guess we should always. Clicking Trick Room is always the best play here. Yeah, and then I'm just going to go for... Actually, Stomping should seal up the game. I always forget that can... yeah, I always forget that it's Stomping rather than High Horsepower, because High Horsepower can miss, but Stomping is more consistent. It is weird. I don't think Regirock gets access to High Horsepower. I might be wrong on that, but yeah. Anyway, definitely a really fun set of games today. Once again, the loss, like, I feel like we could have won for sure, but both games 1 and 2 kind of remind me of some of the games from yesterday where like I didn't feel amazing about how I played and like definitely got bailed out a little bit here and there. But either way, I'm glad to feature some of the other modes of this team, like Regieleki plus Regidrago as a lead option, for example. And then the Regieleki plus Zapdos lead was super good here. So, yesterday was all about the Slowpoke plus Regirock, but today that was not the case at all. So, thanks so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.